As you're planning your final night in Ireland, you may be wondering just how far you can stay from the airport and not have a rush and a lot of stress in the morning. So today, I'm answering that question. So, it's your final night in Ireland. Where are you going to stay? This is actually a question that I hear pretty often when I am working with people on their Ireland vacations. How close do I need to stay to the airport the night before I leave? And, it's actually a really good question because if you're looking at some vacation packages, you'll find that they will arrive and depart from Dublin, but the hotel they have you at on the final night could be hours away. And that's something that you really, in my opinion anyway, want to avoid. To give a little bit of, disclosure, I suppose, this is meant for North Americans. I'm going to talk a little bit about if you're traveling on from Ireland to another destination, but the bulk of this is meant for North Americans. So I am discussing Dublin Airport and Shannon Airport because at the time of this recording, there are no other airports in Ireland that offer direct flights to the US. Okay, so we're going to dive in just a minute. Experience the thrill of Ireland's ancient game in the heart of its homeland. Hurling Tours Ireland invites you to Kilkenny, the legendary home of hurling. Step into 3,000 years of history and passion with an immersive tour where you'll hear the stories, learn the skills, and then try them for yourself on the pitch. Feel the excitement as you grip the hurley, strike the schlitter, and discover why hurling is more than a sport, it's a way of life. Whether you're a sports enthusiast or a history lover, this is your chance to experience authentic Ireland. Learn more and book your tour today at irelandfamilyvacations.com/hurling or hurlingtoursireland.ie. So when you're thinking about how close to stay to the airport on your final night in Ireland, there are a few factors to keep in mind. The first one is, which airport are you departing from? Is it Dublin? Is it Shannon? It makes a difference. Do you need to return a rental car? If so, that could take a little bit more time. How many people are you traveling with? The larger the group, the more time things will take. And what time does your flight depart? Because you have to factor in how much time you need at the airport prior to that departure. So we're going to start with Dublin because that is the busiest airport and it's the one that most visitors from North America to Ireland use. So if you are returning to the US from Dublin Airport, understanding what time you need to arrive at the airport is probably the most important factor to determining how close you should stay the night before. If you've even gently perused my Dublin Airport Tips article, which you can find at irelandfamilyvacations.com/DUB, you know that airlines recommend that you allow yourself a minimum of 3 hours to check in for your flight, clear security, return your VAT, possibly do a bit of shopping, and pass through US pre-clearance and US customs. And though on most cases, you probably don't have to give yourself that much time, I still think it's a really good guideline. Now, if you plan to return your rental car in the morning before your flight, I would add an additional 30 minutes onto your airport arrival time to allow for the rental car check-in and the shuttle back to the terminal if you have to utilize that service. And just a little tip there, if you're returning your car off-site, I recommend dropping off your travel companions and luggage at the airport before returning the car. Just so much less hassle all the way around. And if you're traveling with children or a large group, you may also want to add another 30 minutes as more people can often equal more time to get through each checkpoint. Now, once you have a good idea of how much time you may need at the airport, you want to subtract those hours from your flight departure time. So if your flight leaves at 11 a.m., you want to be to the airport by 8 a.m. If you have to return a car or you have a large group of people, it could be 7 or 7:30 a.m., which is really early to get up, get around, and get to the airport. So here are my recommendations for Dublin Airport. If you depart before 11 a.m., I recommend staying in an airport hotel or the nearby villages of Malahide or Swords. If you pop into the show notes, you're going to find some links to hotels in those areas. Just helps to make it a little bit easier when you're searching if you want that. If you are departing between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m., you could stay a bit further out, between 30 to 45 minutes from the airport. Now, I don't recommend much further because you never know what the traffic's going to be like on your way in. But for this, you could stay in Dublin City Centre, County Kildare, the town of Naas, and AAS has some terrific accommodations. You could stay down by Powers Court or Enniskerry in County Wicklow, or even to the north a bit up in Trim or Navan in County Meath. And if your departure time is later than 2 p.m., you could easily stay 90 minutes from the airport and enjoy a leisurely morning before traveling toward Dublin. So that could put you in the areas of Kilkenny, Athlone, and your airport arrival time is 1 p.m. or later. So departure around 4. You could even stretch it to Belfast. Now, if you're returning to Canada from Dublin Airport, the same timings do still apply, even though you won't pass through U.S. Customs. Flights directly to Canada depart from Terminal 1, which can take a little bit longer for non-EU passport holders. Are you ready to craft the ultimate Ireland adventure? Discover the secrets to planning a magical getaway with the My Ireland Vacation Planner and Journal. So, what's inside? You'll find 4 essential sections: planning, itinerary, travel tips, and journal. Easy-to-use worksheets to help simplify your planning process. Expert advice and insider tips to make your trip unforgettable. And fun journaling prompts to help you capture every magical moment of your journey. The My Ireland Vacation Planner and Journal is available in both spiral-bound and digital formats, and it's your personal guide to designing the Ireland vacation you've always dreamed of. Order your planner today and begin crafting your Irish adventure. You can order at irelandfamilyvacations.com/Ireland Planner, and don't forget to use code PODCAST10 for a 10% savings. If you're traveling on to Europe or the UK from Dublin Airport, I recommend arriving about 2.5 hours prior to departure if you're traveling in the morning, because that's a really, really busy time at the airport. But you can shave that down just a little bit. I still recommend about 2 hours, though, if you are traveling in the afternoon or the evening. Moving across the country to Shannon Airport. Now, I will stand by this until there's another airport in Ireland that goes direct to the US. But every chance I have, I will choose Shannon Airport as my departure, because it is a smaller airport, it has fewer flights, and it is an absolute dream to depart from. Your car drop-off will take little to no extra time. You don't have to trek very far with your luggage, and you just won't have the crowds like you do in Dublin. At Shannon Airport, I still recommend arriving 2.5 hours prior to your departure if you're traveling with families or groups. But if you're solo or traveling as a couple, 2 hours should be plenty to get you through all the security, U.S. pre-clearance and customs, and to your gate. Now, fun fact, I have actually arrived and reached my gate in 27 minutes. It was a big boo-boo on my part where I had our flight departure time wrong. So I definitely don't recommend trying to do that, especially with kids. But it's just a dream airport. So you can do it in a very short amount of time if you have to. Now, for Shannon Airport, if your departure is 10:30 a.m. or earlier, I recommend that you don't stay any further than 30 minutes away. This will put you in the areas of Bunratty, Ennis, and even down to Limerick City. If your departure is between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m., you could stay up to an hour away, and that would put you down toward Adair in County Limerick or up to Galway. And if your departure is after 2 p.m., you can stretch it to 90 minutes, maybe even a little further. So that would put you out into the Dublin, Lahinch, Cliffs of Moher area, and you could even possibly stretch it to Killarney if your airport arrival time is 1 p.m. or later. Now, currently there are no direct flights between Canada and Shannon Airport, so I don't have any advice on that. If that does come to be, I would still stick with about 2.5 hours prior to departure to go direct to Canada if that ever comes about. If you're traveling on to Europe or the UK from Shannon Airport, I recommend arriving 2 hours prior to departure if you're traveling in the morning. But you could shave that down just a little bit, maybe to about 1.5 hours if you're traveling in the afternoon or the evening. I hope this episode provided a little more insight to help you perfectly plan that final night in Ireland and remove a lot of stress from the next morning and your departure. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a 5-star review at Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you can't leave a review on your podcast app, visit Ireland Family Vacations on Facebook and leave a review there, or hop onto Trustpilot at irelandfamilyvacations.com/trust. I always love hearing something nice. Do you have questions or comments? You can always email me, Jody, Jody, at irelandfamilyvacations.com. As always, thank you so much for listening, and until next time, slán go fóill.